I am so tired. 100 hours of Vanguard. Oh my god, what am I doing? Just roll the intro. Yes, the title is correct, kind of. I played 100 hours of Vanguard 4 years after it was released. The spot where I say kind of is because of the original title of this video, if I haven't changed it or anything, says that I played 100 hours of Vanguard in 2025. This is absolutely true, but may make you think that I did this over the course of the year. However, due to procrastination, zombies news, and a first ever zombies beta, I lost time I planned to invest in this video, and so I entered a hardcore crunch time. I work a day job that eats up most of my time, plus I do kind of have a life outside of this, a little bit. So for the last month and a half or so, I spent every free moment I had playing Vanguard to get those 100 hours in time before the launch of Black Ops 7. It has been a lot, I will not deny that. However, simply playing each map or putting in 10 hours was not enough for me. I wanted to truly spend time here and learn the quirks and features of Vanguard zombies, and so I dedicated my precious time to this maligned game. Do you want to know what the craziest part of this is, though? For most of my time playing this game, I had a genuinely good time. We will get to that in a moment. First, I have to talk about the hurdle that was the Vanguard experience in regards to making a video like this. I found immediately that Vanguard tracks your multiplayer time played, but for whatever reason, they don't track your zombies time played. So I ended up hand tracking everything to make sure I actually hit the 100-hour mark that I promised myself when I started the process of making this video. I decided alongside the time played being tracked that I would track how many clears or Easter egg completions I did during this time. My goal became to get to a point where I could do each Easter egg from memory in this game. And it worked. I also wanted to see how fast I could do each map's Easter egg without actually doing any speedrun strategies, just going as fast as I can from what is essentially the most casual speedrunning mindset that you can have. It simply gave me something extra to do and track. On top of this, I was spending a large majority of the 100 hours with camo grinding, which we will talk about here and there throughout the video. Considering that I had to hand track all of this, I figured the camo grind was a good way to show that I did in fact invest the time into this game. I can't possibly have gotten as many weapons gold and diamond as I did if I only played part of the time I said I did. So this is where we are. I played 100 hours of what many people consider to be the worst zombies game ever. I am not one of those people, so I am here to spread some love about Vanguard Zombies because there are aspects to it that are good or even great. Of course, there is plenty of bad still, so don't worry, I won't be unnecessarily glazing this game and ignoring the bad. This is going to be a fair and balanced look at a game which many people never even got a chance to play, or gave a chance to. Which I don't blame them for. Even I, who does like Vanguard, has it right near the bottom of Zombies Games rankings for myself, but not the bottom game. You can absolutely do worse than Vanguard. We will talk about many small things along the way that add to the experience in good and bad ways. We are going to go a little all over the place to avoid one topic for too long. I will mix in game mechanics and general notes between each map discussion to break things up a little bit. Now, no better place to start than the beginning and set off to Anfang. Why don't we get this out of the way now? Anfang is not a good map. It is a bad map. Don't go worrying that I'll be calling it good. Let's break it down and talk about the bad and the few positives here as well. First off, let's hit a positive. Vanguard, especially Anfang and Shi No Numa, looks amazing. I love the style, it is dark, foreboding, and the pops of red from the zombies' eyes looks great. This is easily the best and most zombies-looking zombies mode in the modern era. I wish it weren't just this game that looked so good, but unfortunately there hasn't been much in terms of visual style added to the other modern titles. So congrats Vanguard, you do have something better than all the other modern titles currently. These modern games severely lack in art direction, which is why an old game like Black Ops 3 looks more appealing than modern games. Another small positive is that I really like the Tier 1 Pack-a-Punch camo. Alright, that's it. Now, Anfang brought in a new method to execute the zombies formula. Classic rounds are gone and are replaced by objectives. It is done similar to Outbreak but on a smaller scale. The only way to progress the so-called rounds is to do an objective. You've got portals that block parts of the main map, and once you do an objective, it will open up a new part of that main map. You can do a blitz, which is just surviving for a few minutes, transmit, where you escort a zombie head around an area for a little while, Purge, where you have to stand on 10 runes to cleanse them in a time limit. Harvest, where you have to take out zombies and collect stones to deposit them at 3 different totems. A Sacrifice, where you alternate defending 3 different statues. And that's it. Nothing exciting here, just very simple objectives. Once you open up the main map, you're no longer given a choice of what you'll do next. For example, when you start your match, you have 3 portals that you can choose from at any given time, and each one has a different objective type, so you can pick one that has an objective type that you prefer. You can go to that portal and do that one. However, once the map is open, you only have 1 portal that you can teleport into, which means you're stuck doing whatever objective that portal has at that time. You don't have a choice by picking a different portal, so you might be stuck doing something you don't really want to do. Not to mention that due to this portal always being in the same place, it makes the main map completely irrelevant because you're never exploring it unless you need to refresh perks after a down. Everything else you could ever possibly need is right next to you in the spawn. So for the first 6 to 8 rounds, Anfang is a totally okay experience. After that point, it is a complete bore because there is no more expansion of the map, no more discovery, and no reason to even be in the main map. Just finish an objective, spawn back in the main map, and immediately turn to the portal, walk 20 feet, go into it, and do the objective. Repeat. It's an absolute bore. There is nothing special here. I'd rather play round-based or Outbreak itself. This is a messy hybridization where it's trying to be Outbreak but on the small scale of round-based, and you end up with the worst of both ideas coming together to make this, which is an absolutely boring experience. I will talk about the so-called Easter egg in a moment. First though, I want to talk about my first general Vanguard mechanic of the video and discuss the perks. We have 5 perks to pick from, and you can have all of them at once. It is a lacking pool of perks, which is its first and biggest fault. I want to try naming all of them from memory, since Vanguard went off and changed the names of perks away from what we would usually expect. So we've got Fiendish Fortitude, Ethereal Haste, Diabolical Damage, Demonic Frenzy, and Recovery. Okay, yep, time to look those up. Alright, I think I got some of them right. So it's actually Fiendish Fortitude, Ethereal Haste, Diabolical Damage, Venomous Vigor, and Demonic Frenzy. I was close on some of them. I know I got a few. I was close on some of those last ones, I think. Not totally sure what I said now. Let's just make this simple, though. You've got Jug, Quick Revive, Speed Cola, Stamina Up, and what is essentially Deadshot. We are going to call them by their common names from now on for simplicity's sake. I also want to petition to keep the names of things the same if they've been around forever or been called that before. For example, it's like making points be called Essence now. It just makes no sense. Each one of these perks, though, is a set of 4 tiers, and the first one is free. Then the second tier is 2,500, third is 5,000, and the final 4th tier is 7,500. So maxing out each perk will cost 15,000 points. Each time you get a tier, the benefit you receive is increased. The easiest one to explain this with is Jug. At the start of the match, you have 100 health. Each tier of Jug gives you 50 more health until you max out at 300 health. That sounds like a lot of health until you're faced with damage scaling in later rounds. We will talk more about this later, but for now, in the perk discussion, I want to argue that these perks should have had 5 tiers. First reason is totally selfish. I don't like seeing the Roman numeral 4 at the bottom of my screen. I think it would look a lot cleaner for the UI if it was just the V for 5. Second reason is made most clear again with Jug. Damage scaling exists, and zombies will get to a point where they do 100 damage without armor. So, on higher rounds, if you happen to not have armor at the moment, you are a 3-hit down. That 1 extra tier would get you 350 health and at least get you to being a 4-hit down. That 1 extra tier could make a large difference. One of the biggest complaints of Vanguard's perk system is that it doesn't feel like they're very strong because you are growing as the match gets harder right alongside it. Versus other games where you buy a perk and you have its whole arsenal of power right away, which feels like a big boost to your gameplay. One more tier would make you feel a little bit stronger later in the game at least. Ultimately, this perk system was a clear response to the Cold War perk system, where people said it was too strong, but more importantly, that the progression happened all outside of the match. Here in Vanguard, you are essentially leveling up your perk in match, and you do it every match. It's a little difficult to compare because there is simply more perk variety and power available in a game like Cold War. If Vanguard had more diverse selection of perks, then maybe you'd be able to feel strong like you do in other modern titles. Regardless, I don't have an issue with this perk system outside of it lacking variety. They needed to add more perks to the game to keep it feeling fresh and allowing for more new strengths. I tend to prefer the augment system over this and even over Cold War, but I do think that the Vanguard perk system was an interesting attempt, and I don't hate it. But I do think that the Vanguard perk system was an interesting attempt to address community concerns, and I don't hate it. Just not my preferred method. Let's get back to Anfang and finish up here with the Easter egg. It's hard to call it an Easter egg, but it's the closest we'll get. So to do it, you do 2 objectives like normal, but you're targeting opening up the building directly ahead of spawn by the blue fountain. Once open, you can do a special portal in there that makes you survive 3 regular rounds inside the main hut of Shi No Numa. After that, you have to knock on a door in that blue fountain building. After some dialogue, you do 2 more normal objectives to open up the building behind spawn with the yellow fountain. Once in there, you can interact with a book on the floor that has a ritual in it. After a lot of dialogue, you will be able to go back to the blue fountain room and see that a green portal opened above the staircase. Ooh, exciting! I can't wait to go in there and see what awaits. Oops! Sorry, that's actually the end of the Easter egg. Nothing else. No using the green portal, no rewards for doing it. Nothing. It doesn't even feel like an ending. It is so dreadful. This Easter egg I did 6 times during my time on this game, and my best time was a 21-minute, 35-second run. Doing the Easter eggs until I memorized them and then seeing how fast I could go was just a way to keep me busy and from going insane by having something different to do. On the note of things I tracked, I pushed around 22 on Anfang as my highest. Again, not here actively trying for high rounds, I just couldn't take any more of the game beyond that and gave up. So, Anfang is an awful experience. Plain and simple. For those of you who did play this at release, I totally understand why you would have given up on this game after this. And what I'm playing now isn't even as bad as it was. This map had even less content when it released. Just a baffling experience that is a surefire way to disappoint a community. I was fortunate enough to not have played this at release. In fact, I didn't even touch Vanguard for the first time until the summer of 2024. So I showed up well after its release, but I wanted to get my hands on the game before ranking it with every single other map in the Zombies franchise, like I did right before Black Ops 6. It was during this time that I confirmed the first 2 maps weren't good, but I was shocked how I felt about the last 2 maps. Can't wait to talk about those later. Anyway, let's put this to rest and move on to Terra Maledicta so we can get off of these challenge-based maps and move into the content I truly like. One last side note, we will get to the mini-bosses of Vanguard later, so don't worry, I will cover those if you've been itching for me to talk about Mr. Gatling Gun. Moving to the desert, we find Terra Maledicta, and we can speedrun the overall concept of this map. It is the exact same formula as Anfang. Open the map through objectives, eventually you'll get to a point where you spawn, go 20 feet, do a random objective, and repeat. Terra Maledicta is a larger map than Anfang, but it is again completely wasted space because after a handful of objectives, you're essentially never going to explore or utilize any part of the main map again. You go to an objective, play for a few minutes in a locked off small area, and then you do it again. Same setup, same problems. Now the one thing that Terra Maledicta brought to the table that was a slam dunk is the Decimator Shield. The Decimator Shield is, for my money, the best offensive shield in Zombies, and is possibly close to being the best overall shield in Zombies too, because of how ridiculously strong this thing is. 1, it is visually great. It is overgrown, it has eyes watching you, it also talks sometimes, which adds to its character. And 2, most importantly, it does this. It is busted. Every 30 seconds you can slam it to the ground and the entire horde of zombies around you will cease to exist, including any mini-bosses. All you have to do is wait 30 seconds and you can do this over and over. This shield is genuinely so fun to use and an actual highlight of Vanguard Zombies. You're able to use it on Terra Maledicta and the Archon, which means it can be used in a round-based map, and that's an absolute win. It could be called a downside that this shield does take a weapon slot, but it is ultimately a weapon, and that is what it is used for, so I don't mind that. It also doesn't protect your back, but again, it is much more of an offensive tool than other shields of the past, so this is the trade-off. It doesn't break either, which is nice, so you don't have to run to replace it ever. I love the Decimator. I know not everyone does, but I do. It does serious heavy lifting in adding something unique and good to Vanguard. Our next game mechanic to talk about is the field upgrades. There isn't a ton to say here. You have the relatively expected selection of a modern zombies game: Aether Shroud, Healing Aura, Frost Blast, Energy Mine, and Ring of Fire. Not the most expansive selection, just like the perks. Also, just like the perks, the devs targeted getting the upgrades for these in match to keep that progression out of the menus. So you start with your field upgrade and can upgrade it in a match 4 times to its max level. You do this with sacrificial hearts, which are awarded at each objective completion or for round-based every 3 rounds. These hearts also pay for covenants, which we will cover after Shi No Numa. Just like the perks, I am indifferent on this method of upgrading. I prefer the options that come with augments, but these upgrades in Vanguard still make the field upgrades good, which is necessary. The Vanguard field upgrades do have a leg up on other modern titles too with how they are activated. It feels totally zombies-like. In other games, you just pull up a little gun-looking thing when you activate your field upgrade. Here in Vanguard, it sticks to the demonic theme, and when you activate a field upgrade, you lift up a glowing skull into view for this animation. It is a small detail, but one that has been missed in recent years outside of this. You take these elements that aren't 100% zombies feeling like a field upgrade, but you give them some unique zombies flair, and it helps them blend in and fit better. Vanguard understood that with the field upgrades. For the Terra Maledicta Easter egg, the steps are easy. Do objectives to open up the map and then interact with a rune. Listen to minutes worth of dialogue and do another objective. Then shoot crystals in the main map. Then do another rune activation with minutes more of dialogue and another objective. Back in the main map, you can grab the shield and then do a final rune with more minutes of dialogue and a final objective. The only reason I like Terra Maledicta slightly more than Anfang is because of the Decimator shield, and that doing the Easter egg kind of feels like it has an ending and you're actually given some rewards in match. They're basic rewards, but better than literally nothing. I did the Terra Maledicta Easter egg 4 times with a best time of 31 minutes 22 seconds. So much of that time is standing around for dialogue, it is an absolute drag to do. My highest round on here was 23, so only 1 higher than Anfang. For my final note on objective-based Vanguard versus round-based, I want to talk about the pace of the match. I timed my round 23 run on Terra Maledicta, and it took me 1 hour and 24 minutes to get there. Let's compare to the round-based Shi No Numa. To get to round 23 on Shi No Numa, it took me only 26 minutes in comparison. Then, in the same amount of time it took me to get to round 23 on Terra Maledicta, I was able to get into the low 50s on Shi No Numa. That is a huge downside to these objective-based modes. You are playing on pretty small maps, so it feels like you should go fast. But things don't move quickly, and the mode is an absolute drag because of it. It is a hard experience to play because it feels like you're going nowhere. I don't really have anything against making the progression be challenge-based to advance rounds. At least I don't have a problem with it in concept. The issue is when the challenges are this boring that it becomes so mind-numbing to do. I have to say this part though, I value them trying something different, especially when it isn't a mainline Treyarch game like a Black Ops game. Experiment and try. There were some goods like the Covenants, and I'm not all on board with the perks, but again, they tried something new. People didn't like the out-of-match progression in Cold War, so they tried putting it into the match with these tiered perks and the field upgrades like how they did here. I want them to try to innovate on the mode. If they never do that, then we will get bored with having the exact same mode forever. Sure, it didn't work here, I'm not saying that it did, and I'm not going to say that this is a great game, but I would rather them at the very least try sometimes. They saw the success of Outbreak and wanted to try mixing it into a more round-based format. Now they know they don't ever have to try that again. So this part right here that I'm going to start now is part 1 of the many glitches of Vanguard zombies, so this is our first batch. The amount of times monkeys or decoys just don't work is alarming. More often than not, I am expecting them to not work and for all the zombies to still attack me. I am on guard every time I try to use one. It is quite annoying. Plus, whenever an explosion happens by a decoy, it will, like, 80% of the time just negate the decoy and zombies will chase you again. I can't even tell if that's supposed to be the design or if it's a glitch because it doesn't happen every time. I've had plenty of times where there is an explosion on a decoy and it keeps working, but then there's plenty of other times where there is an explosion and the decoy just stops working. So I don't know if it's supposed to blow up and stop the decoy, or if it's supposed to keep working but it's glitching and stopping it. I don't even know. That's how inconsistent it is. The minimap consistently has an extra red dot on it all the time, and it bothers me so much. If you intend to save a zombie, you better be darn sure that there are 2 dots on the minimap, or you're going to accidentally push the round. I don't know what causes this, and I hate it so much. It shouldn't bother me as much as it does, but it's just annoying seeing a red dot there the whole freaking time. That means nothing. Pausing works most of the time. However, I had a very rare instance where the pause menu would come up, but the game beneath it wouldn't stop and I would still get attacked while paused. This buggy pause is better than no pause at all, and that was what came with the game, so at least they tried to fix it and were mostly successful. Plus, there is no pause timer. Medals for challenges that you complete will on occasion get caught in a massive loop just replaying the same challenge completion notification over and over. Okay, nice, I got that challenge done. Okay, yeah, thanks, game. Thanks. Why is it still going? Stop! The last glitch of this segment is that I sometimes had matches take forever to start. I would tell the game to start, and it would just think about finding a match. Even though I am playing solo, it would have a hard time making a match and starting. The worst instance of this took 8 minutes and 50 seconds to start the match. With all of that, though, it's time to finally get to round-based. Shi No Numa, it is your time to shine, so let's hit it. Vanguard went ahead and made Shi No Numa the most seen map in Zombies history so far. Most maps, of course, appear only once. Some do twice. And those few that went twice and then got into Chronicles again made it to 3. Shi No Numa was one of those maps, but now years after that, it was used a 4th time to make this map in Vanguard, and it is easily the best map that Vanguard has. Like I mentioned in an earlier segment, this Shi No Numa looks great. It is dark and moody, and again, the reds from the zombies pop and stand out in a great way. This is round-based. Everyone celebrate, we are so back! It is the classic Shi No Numa layout that we know, but it has an extra area now. And you also have this tiered perk system, covenants, field upgrades, and an Easter egg. It is the most developed version of Shi No Numa with the most to do in it out of all 4 versions. It is also my favorite because of that. A small but important note is that just in Shi No Numa and the Archon, the devs removed the character images when characters are talking. They're the only maps to not have these demons and other characters displaying a JPEG of themselves on screen every time they talk. Small thing, but I noticed it and I appreciated it. Let's finally talk about those covenants. If I had to pick one game system that I love about Vanguard and wish was in more Zombies games, it would be these covenants. I have even made a video dedicated to them in the past. Using your sacrificial hearts, you can get covenants, which are boons that give you different abilities. Many of these are perks or ammo mods rolled into this system. Deadwire and Brain Rot are examples of ammo mods, and PhD manifests as explosives expert. There are also many completely new ideas here that allow you to shake up your gameplay. For example, Unholy Ground gives you extra damage when you're standing still. If you use it, you are then incentivized to rush ahead of the horde and stand there and mow them down before taking off again. Simple, but a fun way to change the gameplay. One of my favorites is Brimstone, which constantly deals damage to enemies around you. With this, you can play your match without ever shooting. Granted, it would be slow, but you can eliminate everything with this area of effect damage. These covenants have different rarities that make them stronger. For Explosives Expert, to make an example, without it, you will take massive damage from your explosives. With Blue Tier, you still take a lot, but it's a little better. Purple, it gets to a low manageable amount of damage, and then the orange rarity, you take no damage from explosives. The trick with these covenants is that you are only given 3 to choose from every round, and you only have 3 slots to equip them. So you may go a very long time without getting the one that you're looking for. The fun comes when you have extra hearts and just start grabbing new covenants to test things out. I like that these are incredibly helpful bonuses that are not guaranteed right away. I would love to see this system expanded with even more options and by removing ammo mods and perks from the pool. Take those out and put them back where they belong with ammo mods and perks, but then add more quirky, unique covenants for people to try. Depending on what gun I was using, I would be targeting different covenants. and when I finally got the ones I wanted, it would totally change my strength. Finding your right set of 3 Covenants is a fun experiment and a part of this game. I back the idea of Covenants 100%. The high rounds in Vanguard are more enjoyable than Black Ops 6 for sure, and I'd say also Cold War, just generally better than most modern games. Those other games suffer mightily from boss spam, and that really isn't a thing here in Vanguard at all. The bosses are peppered in here and there, but even still, both of these bosses are easier to take down than the elites of Black Ops 6, and they never reach close to the quantity of the specials or elites that Black Ops 6 and Cold War had. Stormkriegers are ridiculous that they have a Gatling gun to hit you at range and take your armor fast, but they are over-exaggerated in how difficult or annoying they are. I don't like them, but they aren't that bad. They don't do a ton of damage, and they're not very tanky either. They're pretty easy to take out. Zavala the Witch is a little more annoying. This thing teleports and detonates mines. If there was a lower teleporting frequency, I think that would help Zavala feel a lot more fun to deal with and less tedious. Not the worst boss though if you just Aether Shroud and focus down Zavala quickly. Stormkriegers at most spawn 2 a round, and that happens only every few rounds. Zavala is 1 at a time, also every few rounds. No boss spam here. The only thing pulling down Vanguard high rounds is damage scaling and super sprinters, which plagues all modern zombies games. Due to damage scaling and boss spam, I usually won't play past round 34 to 50 in Black Ops 6. It is just too annoying for me, and I'll either exfil or end my game. I have done some round 100 stuff, but it is rare for me. In Vanguard, I can play and run around with just my gun on the round-based maps up to 40 comfortably, and then still go to the 50 or 60 range before the super sprinters and damage scaling tilt me out, and I exfil or end my game. Once you reach that point, the game is so annoying to play. But the point is that I can play longer on Vanguard round-based in a single session than I can on Black Ops 6, for example, before the game does things that make me call it quits. This is a benefit to Vanguard. Now, if only we could get a zombies game without damage scaling and boss spam. We either have both or one of the two. Black Ops 7 on paper is shaping up to be more like Vanguard with reduced boss spam, but maintaining that vile damage scaling and super sprinters and all that crap. I also stumbled into a Vanguard strategy that I liked. Bear in mind, I did not research how to best do high rounds in this game because I don't care, and I'm not really a high round person, so I am sure that there is a better optimal strategy. That's not the point of this though. Anyway, I was doing the camos for rocket launchers, and I settled on a strategy where I could get each launcher done in one match, and I would end up being in the round 60s area to finish it. Getting to that round was the easiest when doing launchers. It was a breeze. I would get Explosives Expert, Scrapper, and Motherload as my Covenants, and now my rocket does extra damage to enemies and none to me. I get more salvage and can reuse equipment if I get lucky. The whole plan is to run around with the rocket spamming shots and getting enough money to buy ammo, also adding in just throwing decoys and getting some right back through Motherload or buying more, and that is where Scrapper comes in. I get to hang out and watch the zombies bunch up while I wait. If a Stormkrieger shows up, I pop Aether Shroud and wipe them with my rocket to get some progress on the camo. If a Zavala shows up, I track them down and whip thermites at them and finish them with the rocket. This was my most fun and easiest method of pushing into the 60s. I am sure there is something better, but like with the other things, I wasn't worried about optimizing. I just wanted to chill, have fun, and do camos without worrying about optimizing my game to death, because that often ruins the fun of playing games. Regardless, this fun method was made possible because of the Covenant system allowing me to play in a way that I never could in other zombies games. Compare playing like this where you got Covenants and ways to shake up your gameplay and no boss spam, compare that to Black Ops 6, and I will take Vanguard high rounds all day. No boss spam, my weapons can be a little more viable, and I don't have to rotate mutant injections all game to make myself immune in order to stand a chance. I don't generally enjoy modern high rounds, but again, Vanguard is not the worst because it still challenges the player and doesn't give free outs with items that make you fully immune and a killing machine. I still hate super sprinters and damage scaling though. Take that away and this formula in Vanguard is quite mint and makes the match much more enjoyable. Super brief, but I wanted to hit on wonder weapons. We have the ray gun in Vanguard, and it's really dang good. It rivals Cold War, and that is widely considered the best ray gun for obvious reasons. We also have the Wunderwaffe, and this Vanguard version is like the ray gun, really good. It looks amazing here, and is of course really strong. I would prefer new wonder weapons, but this is what we got, and at least both of them are good and aren't a total waste of space. The Decimator is also technically a wonder weapon, so that is great for this game. Like I said, it is a highly offensive shield, so it slots in as a wonder weapon naturally. Unlike the first two maps, I won't go step by step through these next Easter eggs because they are a little longer. I walked through those just to show how simple and short they were. Shi No Numa has a solid Easter egg with a great rune decryption step, and it ends with a decent boss fight. It is a simple 3-stage fight against a reskinned Zabala, nothing spectacular, but it works fine enough. I love the fact that this map has an Easter egg to begin with, and its boss fight utilizes the new playable space in this version of Shi No Numa for it. I did the Shi No Numa Easter egg 4 times with my best time at 31 minutes 45 seconds. My highest round on Shi No Numa was a 66. Again, I just gave up at that point. I could have kept going, but I don't usually have the time or patience to keep going forever. But that is it for Shi No Numa. It is a good map that I truly enjoy. Vanguard works best when it is done round-based, and that is shown clearly here. One more map to go. Why don't we zoom on over there? The Archon arrives to bring Vanguard to a close, and you'll notice it is a familiar location. Yes, this is the main map of Terra Maledicta. This time, though, it is round-based. Just like Terra Maledicta, the shield is available for use, and it is just as amazing as before. It is disappointing that this is a reused map location, but it does so much better with the space that I can't even be that bothered by it. Wipe Terra Maledicta off of the face of the earth for all I care. I've got the Archon, and it is a much better use of this map space. Of course, I would prefer something truly new. If you're gonna reuse the space, then I guess it's a good thing to take trash and make it be good. Not top tier, just good. It is a good map. Now then, there isn't much to say about the map itself, so why don't we chit chat about the weapons of Vanguard and the camo grind. You have loadouts like other modern titles, and you can carry your weapon all the way to its highest strength from start to finish. Vanguard did simplify the weapon upgrade process by removing rarities upgraded by salvage. Now the color rarity of your weapon is determined by the Pack-a-Punch tier. No Pack-a-Punch is a white weapon, first tier is blue, second tier Pack-a-Punch is purple, and the third tier of max Pack-a-Punch is orange. Realistically, these so-called rarities are completely irrelevant. Their only real function is to be a quick visual for weapons dropped on the ground, in the mystery box, or off the wall. It will tell you by the color what Pack-a-Punch level it is, and the only thing that matters is the Pack-a-Punch level. It is streamlined, and for many people that is a positive. I'm in the neutral party. It doesn't make me excited, and it doesn't disappoint me either. I like this equally to the rarity system in a game like Black Ops 6, so for me it is a pretty indifferent change, but I know for some they definitely do not like upgrading rarities through salvage, so this actually probably is a benefit to them. The camo grind is a part of the things you can do within this zombies game. I find myself wishing for a camo unlocking system that is somewhere between this system and one like Black Ops 6. Vanguard has many different kinds of challenges which I love. It is kills, headshots, Pack-a-Punch kills, kills from a Covenant, rapid critical kills, many different challenges. The downside is that you have to fully level up the weapon to access all of these, which takes a long time. For example, I used the combat shotgun and I started my match with that thing at level 12. I played exclusively with the combat shotgun for a match where I got to round 62. I only got the weapon to level 40. Out of the 70 required levels to unlock all camo challenges. One benefit I was unaware of for a long time is that the operator system in this game can actually help here. Use an operator with a favorite gun matching what you were using and you'll get bonus XP to help you level up. I would like to see this camo challenge system where there are many different kinds of challenges, but maybe that last camo challenge is locked at only the halfway point of levels instead of at 70. Black Ops 6, you slog through headshots and then fly through the special camos and gold before being slowed way down again for opal. Then the same pattern where Afterlife is really fast, but the Nebula is so slow. And you have to do each camo for each individual gun. Instead of how it's usually been done where once you finish the base challenges, you get gold. Then you get golds for a whole class and you will get opal or the diamond equivalent right away. And then once you get all of the weapons opal or diamond, you get to the highest level and you just have the camo, which is generally a dark matter. They changed it and made it so each gun has its own challenge for each camo, even the highest mastery camos. This system also slows the player way down in a not so satisfying way. They have 4 mastery camos now, which is good, but I think it should work like this. Challenges that are varied on your way to get to gold. Get all golds for a class and you get diamond right away. You get diamond for all and you get this 3rd tier camo. Then once you have all of the 3rd tier camos, each individual gun will have a new challenge which would get you to the dark matter highest camo equivalent. You merge these two systems and you get the best of both worlds. In Vanguard, I got 5 of 8 weapon classes diamond on the way to Dark Aether. I did shotguns, handguns, marksman rifles, launchers, and the knife. It was not a terrible experience at all, not bad in terms of camo grinding, and I do actually intend to finish this one day, but I need a long Vanguard break after how much I played recently. I have to say specifically that the knife on Vanguard was one of the worst experiences ever for getting something gold. It is so slow in attacking and is clunky. The early prototype for a melee macchiato is a Bloodlust Covenant. It makes melee stronger and it heals you, but it doesn't help the speed, and that is the killer. And on top of that, what you're seeing now is the brain-dead locking on melee that is in this game. It just whiffs 30% of the time and throws you into danger that you had no intent of being in. What a great glitch. Reminds me though, we finally get to have part 2 of our Vanguard glitches segment. There is an odd screen pixelation glitch that happens basically only on the Archon. I'm not sure how well this footage shows it, but it happens on and off almost every match of the Archon, and it is distracting. Again, for the Archon, the Sturmkriegers have jacked up spawns and they often get stuck in it, and you have to go seek them out and find them to move around. The ragdolls in this game are amazing, and I want more games to leave in ragdolls like this. It hurts no one and it's hilarious. The game likes to do this neat trick where it just fucking freezes. You can move, but the zombies don't, and then after a few seconds it all snaps back to reality, and you may be in the middle of a horde without even knowing what happened. This often happens after you pause and come back out of the pause, but it will sometimes randomly happen at other points in the match. I wish I was able to record one instance of this where I paused and was near the blue fountain on the Archon. When I unpaused, I was suddenly in the spawn on the complete opposite side of the map. I knew something was wrong and kept trying to pause and unpause to fix it. Eventually I left it, and after about 20 seconds, it finally teleported me back into the right area of the map and let me just keep playing. It was so bizarre, and it happens more often than you would expect. The game crashes a decent amount, but it does it frequently after you tab out, which I do a lot to make my videos, to record or make notes as I go, so that made this an annoying experience. And that just about covers the major bugs and glitches that I saw pop up time and time again while playing Vanguard. Let's step back to the Archon and start closing things up a bit. The Easter egg on the Archon is more simple than Shi No Numa, but still much better than either of the first 2 maps. I like that there is a form of memory game with the runes. These are often fun, and here again it is a fun step and probably my favorite in this Easter egg. Where the Archon shines is with its boss fight. I think this is great. You've got a large looming boss with 3 distinct phases where he does different things, and you need to do your own different tasks to defeat him. Work through the 3 stages, defeat him, get your rewards, and you are done with Vanguard zombies. It ended on a strong boss fight, and I am happy for that. I did the Archon's Easter egg 6 times with a best time of 52 minutes and 42 seconds. Definitely not matching up to any speedrunners there. My highest round on the Archon was 62. As a final test for myself, once I had about 80 to 90 hours played, I sat down and did every Easter egg back to back to see how quickly I could get it all done in one session. This has actually been the majority of the background footage you've seen is from that run where I did all of them together. I did all of them in a solid 2 hours and 19 minutes, which I was happy with. And that was it. I finished off the rest of my time in the 90s, finishing the handguns diamond and reaching 100 hours. Here are my final stats for you all. As I mentioned, I got 5 out of 8 classes diamond. As you can see here, I did not play any early seasons, and now in this post season, I am prestige 9. For each map, I have the time breakdowns. Anfang I spent 11.13 hours on. Terra Maledicta I spent 7.36 hours on, Shi No Numa I spent 34.05 hours, and the Archon I spent 47.65 hours on, totaling up to 100.19 hours spent on this game in a month and a half. These numbers are quite interesting to me actually. If we split the maps into the 2 styles of objective-based and round-based, we find an odd occurrence. For objective maps of Anfang and Terra Maledicta, I like Terra Maledicta more out of these 2, however I spent more time on Anfang. Much of that extra time to Anfang came when I needed Sturmkrieger kills for camos, and Anfang was the easiest for doing that quickly. Then the round-based Shi No Numa and the Archon, I like Shi No Numa the most out of those 2, and yet I also spent more time on the other with the Archon. Just an interesting way that things turned out. And we've made it to the end. This experiment didn't change my overall thoughts on Vanguard. I still keep it as my 10th out of 12 games, just ahead of Advanced Warfare and MW3 Zombies. Now, I want to be very clear again here though, that while it is near the bottom, I do not hate Vanguard. Even Advanced Warfare, which is my lowest rated zombies game, I don't hate. I have major issues with it, but I don't hate it. It is closest to that feeling though. Considering that Vanguard was able to bring 2 good round-based maps to the table, it helps immensely with it not being a total pile of shit. The objective-based maps are like a 2 out of 10, and if all Vanguard maps were that style, then it would easily be the lowest game out of any zombies game. The round-based maps are good though, and I would give Shi No Numa around a 7 out of 10, and the Archon maybe a 6.5 out of 10. Overall, Vanguard Zombies is a weak entry to the franchise, however it does genuinely have some great elements like Covenants, and I also like the way perks and field upgrades were handled. They just needed much more variety. I wouldn't in good conscience sit here and tell someone that they should buy Vanguard unless it goes on a big sale. But if you already own it from launch and never tried it again, I do urge you to at least try those round-based experiences, as they can be pretty fun and have Easter eggs that are easy to pick up so you could get a taste of those. I think I have run my course with this video. I need a long break from Vanguard, and thankfully Black Ops 7 will be here to keep me busy, I am sure. Now if only I can get this video done in time. I can't seem to help myself from making big videos, and here I went again doing just that, even when I wanted to rush to get this out before Black Ops 7. Oh well, the crunch time continues. Let me know if this type of video is something you'd like to see more of. I am open to the idea, especially looking ahead to the gap between zombies games that will come when Black Ops 7 is over. More videos like this may be a good way to fill that time by exploring zombies titles, and maybe the lesser known ones at that. Games like MW3 Zombies and World War II come to mind as great candidates. Let me know if you want to see any more of these, or any specific games you'd want to see covered. I am open to doing this again if people want it and seem to like it. Otherwise, it probably isn't worth the time and effort to make it, if I'm able to be completely honest with you. But that's all I've got today. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, comment, or subscribe. And please tell me, what did you think of Vanguard Zombies? What did you like? What did you not like? What was your favorite map? I look forward to reading those. Black Ops 7 is just around the corner, and I'll see you there.